Have you ever noticed something strange about manipulators? No matter what happens, no matter what they do, they always end up looking like the victim. Even when they hurt someone, even when they lie, even when they destroy relationships, somehow the story changes. Suddenly they are the one who was misunderstood. They are the one who was treated unfairly. They are the one who suffered. And the person who was actually hurt, they slowly become the villain in the story. This isn't an accident. It is one of the oldest psychological manipulation tactics in the world. A strategy so effective that many people don't even realize it's happening until it's too late. And today, we're going to break down exactly why manipulators always play the victim and how they manage to fool almost everyone around them. Psychological manipulation rarely looks dramatic. Manipulators usually don't scream. They don't openly threaten people. Instead, they work quietly. They slowly shift the narrative. They twist situations. They distort facts. They manipulate emotions. And one of the most powerful tools they use is something called victim playing. When manipulators present themselves as victims, they gain three things instantly: sympathy, protection, and control. Because once people believe someone is the victim, they stop questioning them. But what most people don't realize is that behind that victim story, there is often a carefully constructed manipulation strategy. And once you understand how it works, you will start seeing it everywhere. Human beings are naturally wired to protect victims. When we see someone suffering, our instinct is to help. We defend them. We comfort them. We believe them. Manipulators understand this psychological instinct extremely well, so instead of attacking directly, they position themselves as someone who has been wronged. They say things like, "I can't believe you would treat me like this. I've done so much for you. Everyone always blames me." Suddenly, the conversation changes. Instead of discussing what they did wrong, everyone starts discussing how they feel. The focus shifts away from their actions and onto their emotions. And that is exactly what they want, because the moment attention moves away from accountability, manipulation becomes easier. Manipulators are extremely good storytellers, but their stories always have one thing in common: they are never the villain. In their version of events, they were misunderstood, they were attacked, they were forced to react, even when they started the conflict. This tactic is often connected to a manipulation strategy known as DARVO. DARVO stands for Deny, Attack, Reverse Victim, and Offender. First, the manipulator denies what happened. Then they attack the person confronting them. And finally, they flip the roles. Suddenly, the manipulator becomes the victim, and the person who confronted them becomes the aggressor. It's a powerful psychological tactic because it creates confusion, and confusion is one of the manipulator's greatest allies. If the manipulation is so obvious, why do so many people believe it? Because manipulators understand something about human psychology. Most people hate conflict. When someone starts crying, looking hurt, acting wounded, people immediately become uncomfortable. They want the tension to stop, so they try to calm the situation down. Often by saying things like, "Maybe you misunderstood them. I'm sure they didn't mean it. You should just let it go." And without realizing it, they help the manipulator escape accountability. The victim narrative spreads, and the real story becomes harder to see. Victim playing also creates something else: guilt. Manipulators want the other person to feel responsible for their emotions. They might say, "You know how sensitive I am. You hurt me more than anyone ever has. I can't believe you would do this to me." Now the focus is no longer on what they did, it's on how you made them feel. And once guilt enters the situation, manipulation becomes much easier. Because people who feel guilty often try to fix things, even when they weren't the ones who caused the problem. The most important step in protecting yourself from this tactic is awareness. Manipulators rely on emotional confusion, but once you learn to step back and analyze the situation calmly, the pattern becomes easier to see. Ask yourself, did this person take responsibility for anything, or did they immediately turn themselves into the victim? Did the conversation stay focused on facts, or did it suddenly become about their feelings? Manipulators often avoid accountability at all costs, and playing the victim is one of their most effective ways of doing it. Because once someone is seen as the victim, questioning them starts to feel wrong. But real accountability doesn't disappear just because someone feels hurt. And recognizing that difference is one of the most powerful defenses against psychological manipulation. Another reason manipulators play the victim is because it protects their public image. Most manipulators care deeply about how others see them. They want to appear kind, reasonable, misunderstood. If people begin to question their behavior, their reputation is at risk. So they move quickly to control the narrative. They tell friends and family their version of events first. And in their version, the story always sounds familiar. They were hurt. They were betrayed. They were treated unfairly. By the time the real victim speaks up, the manipulator has already shaped how others see the situation. Now, when people hear the other side, they are already biased. They might think, but they seemed so hurt. They told me what happened. I don't think they would lie about something like that. This is why manipulators often work behind the scenes. They don't just manipulate the person involved. They manipulate the entire social environment around them. And once that narrative spreads, the real victim may find themselves isolated, misunderstood, and doubted. One of the most frustrating things about this kind of manipulation is how long it can last. Sometimes years, and the reason is simple. Victim playing creates emotional fog. When someone constantly presents themselves as wounded or misunderstood, people hesitate to challenge them. They worry about being insensitive. They worry about making things worse, so they stay silent. And silence allows the manipulation to continue. Over time, the manipulator becomes more confident. The behavior becomes more extreme. The stories become more dramatic. But by that point, the pattern has already taken root. People are used to seeing them as the victim, and changing that perception becomes very difficult. That is why awareness is so powerful. The moment someone begins to question the narrative, the manipulation starts to lose its power. Because manipulation thrives in confusion, but it struggles when people begin to see the pattern clearly. Manipulation rarely looks obvious. It hides behind emotions, behind stories, behind carefully constructed narratives that slowly reshape the truth. And victim playing is one of the most effective tools manipulators have, because sympathy is powerful. But when sympathy is used as a weapon, it becomes control. The more you understand these patterns, the harder it becomes for manipulation to work. And sometimes the most important question you can ask in a situation like this is simple. Who is actually being hurt? And who is controlling the story?